YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So look, I want to make this as thorough and as technical and as simplistic as possible. If you have not seen my previous video about this feature on this TV, pause this video. And right now I'm going to link in the previous video that I did. I actually did two videos just to offer some context. And so I am going to now explain what my theory is in this scenario. Okay, so we got the PlayStation 5 here, and what we've got is the video output settings. Now, in the previous video, I had the TV connected directly to the console, which the console outputs HDMI 2.1. The TV accepts HDMI 2.1. Okay, in this scenario, now I have a full gaming desktop in my living room connected to my TV. And so I have a capture card that can output 4K at 60 hertz or 60 frames per second. It can output QHD at 144 frames per second or 144 hertz. It can output 1080p at 240 hertz or 240 frames per second. So the problem that I was having initially with this television is its game mode feature, which is an amazing feature. And I initially started with the previous videos by saying that it was missing something that I think to be bleeding edge for console gamers, okay? Console gamers have never been in a position where they could actually legitimately track in real time the frames that they have going through when they're playing a video game. And so when you use this feature, all you do is you pull up the remote. Forgive me, let me get a little bit of light here. You pull up the remote and you hit the settings button. Once you hit the settings button, you're met with what you see right here on the screen. And so this essentially tells you on the left the frames per second that the game is running at, your black stabilizer. You have different presets here for picture clarity, black levels, things like that, low latency, and VRR. It tells you about all of those different features in real time. The one big thing that is a huge selling point to this feature is that you actually get a legitimate frame rate counter from the TV. That means that the signal the TV is capturing, the amount of frames that's being produced from the source, so it can be console, Blu-ray player, PC, etc. The TV is actually tracking that in real time, okay? So now that you have the summary of that, the problem is if you're playing on a PC, you do actually get that in real time. On a console, however, you do not. And so if we just go to some settings, this is Spider-Man Remastered, right? So this is the legitimate remaster of the game. It has a couple of different game modes. This particular one, Fidelity, the summary there says this is a 30 frame per second mode with graphical features like ray tracing, enhanced lighting, and additional VFX. Temporal techniques provide an extra high quality picture from a 4K resolution base. So this is essentially native 4K as close as it could be. There are some, upscaling techniques there that do take it out of its native state of 4K graphics and picture quality, but you're not missing much from a picture quality perspective. This runs locked at 30 frames per second. They have performance that is a 60 frame per second mode without graphical features like ray tracing and so forth. So this essentially is not going to be natively 4K, and you're not going to have all the beautiful lighting and things like that. And then you have a performance ray trace, which is an alternative. So again, summary for this game. So we'll go fidelity mode. Okay, we already have that turned on. We're going to continue. Here's the issue. Now, I used Red Dead Redemption 1 on Xbox 360, an Xbox 360 game that was played on a Xbox Series X, right? So console playing an older game that is locked at 30 frames per second. Like this cutscene right here, we know it's 30 frames, even though the base game I just showed you is locked at 30. It's showing me 60 frames per second, right? Why that's a thing, I have no idea. I figured if I ran the console port directly through a capture card, that I would have some differences there. What I've come to realize is that what this setting does for console is that it locks in on whatever the base frame rate is. So if I had this plugged up to the TV directly from the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X, this would be reading 120 frames. Even though games like Forza do not play at 120 frames, it plays at 30 frames or 60 frames on the Xbox Series X, the TV is going to read it at whatever the base frame rate that's set from the settings. Now, I'm going to transition over to PC just to show you what I mean. And actually, before I do that, I'll get some gameplay in with this. So they want me to go to the skill tree. Let me turn this off, put that on, quick summary there. Let me pause this so I can get this on. So we have some realistic. Your expectation with this would be for you to see 30 frames per second. This is not running in 30 frames. I am recording in 30 frames. 4K 30 is the maximum frame rate that my camera can produce for me. And let me tell you, this game looks amazing. And if you like this Spider-Man game like I did, you can leave a thumbs up. But no, in all seriousness, when the game released on the PlayStation 4 Pro, it was pretty much like a upscale, but it was locked at 30, right? Like this native resolution looks really good on this TV. The capture card that I have plugged up is the Evermedia. It goes for about $300. I'll link the model of this capture card that I'm using inside the description of the video, but it passes through HDR, so I'm not missing any high dynamic range or anything like that. If you do use the capture card, obviously there's certain technologies you're not going to be able to get, like a variable refresh rate. Capture cards don't really produce that. They don't have newer capture cards out yet that, in my opinion, are slated for these new consoles. But you get an idea. I'm web slinging. It looks beautiful. It plays good. It's 30 frames, but my TV is telling me it's at 60. So if I'm to believe that, I would think that, hey, yeah, this game is locked at a stable 60. It's not. The default menu of the console is locked at 60 frames per second, but I'm not seeing what this console is actually producing for this game, which is 30 frames. All right, and here we are with Halo Infinite. Now, I've got two things going on here. I've got the G-Sync frame rate counter at the top left, and the top numbers are the frames per second. And I've also got the counter on the actual TV going, and these things are running neck and neck. 100 frames, 100 frames, 103 frames, 90 frames. It's there. This game is running native 4K max settings. An RTX 3090 is present at this point of the video. But the TV, and it just went off because it's on for so long, it's actually giving me the same exact reading that the software for the graphics card is producing for me, like literally a 1-to-1. So again, this is a feature that this is an opportunity, actually, I think, for the manufacturers of anything like this. I can't really speak for like what Samsung has, if they have any frame rate counters or anything like that, but I really think it's a big opportunity for LG going forward with the next year OLED models to actually implement this thing to read what the consoles are actually doing. I will have a video coming out with some opportunities. Damn, you killed him quick as shit.
They're all headshots.
Damn. Murked his ass fast. But yeah, I'll have a video coming out talking about some of the things that some of the opportunities I've found with me owning this TV now for about 8 months. New ones will probably be coming out in like April, May. This is 77 inch. I'm gonna go 83 inch or larger if they have something larger. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you know, like I said, for context, definitely reference the video that I linked in the beginning of this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, ask me what I mean, but you can't get an active reading for the consoles. Like, and it sucks, especially if you bought this TV with the console in mind and you thought, hey man, this would be a great feature. It's just not always there. It's perfect for PC, as you can see, but yeah. All right, that's it for today's video. Catch you guys on the next one.